At a time, yeah, one at a time. All right. All right. All right, so again, I'm Hazer Bolaños, and this is my intern supervisor and mentor. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Aaron Wiltrout. I am a resource teacher for juniors and seniors. This is my 25th year teaching in special education. 13 or 14 of those years has been a department chair, and I've taught all different subjects and courses around the special ed world.
Nice, yes. Okay, so one of the things that we are going to discuss is, first of all, we had a class assignment on Monday, and it was about writing legally compliant IEPs, and we had a lady named Ashley McGavin who was speaking. I did get a chance to see the video recordings afterwards and assess some of the stuff that she was talking about. But I did have a couple of questions that I wanted to ask you from your experience, to see, so maybe there's something that I can pick up and learn from. First question I have for you is, what are some of your checklist routines you go through to ensure your IEPs are legally compliant?
Well, some of the routines, I guess, starting from the very beginning, and since we're at the beginning of the school year,
Yeah.
This is kind of what I'm going through right now, is I'm making sure all my dates are lined up.
Okay.
So legal compliance, the biggest one, and the first one is that, are you within the timelines that are mandated?
Right.
So looking at my new caseload and when the annuals are, when the triannuals are, making sure that I am set up in advance to make sure these meetings get on the calendar.
Right.
And get placed. Trying to schedule stuff. I'm already scheduling stuff. I've got everything scheduled for the next 3 or 4 weeks.
Okay.
And now I'm starting to look at the first week of October, which is about 4 or 5 weeks away,
Okay.
to make sure we meet those timelines. And the timelines are extremely important.
Okay.
Just to make sure that we're ensuing that the legally mandated IEPs and the services and the goals are updated and in the proper timelines for compliance. And so that's the first part of the routine. The next part of the routine to make sure things are legally compliant are getting data and making sure that the IEPs and the present levels are data driven.
Right.
We have to be able to sit in those meetings and say, this is what we're seeing, this is what the numbers are showing, this isn't just us making stuff up.
Right.
This isn't just us, thinking, oh, this is, although our opinions are important, we need to have some ways to back that up.
Back it up.
Because in the back of your mind, you have to have that, okay, at any time, something could go sideways and someone else could be reading this, someone else could be
Right.
seeing this. And so especially for new teachers, I think new teachers get so overwhelmed that they just kind of throw stuff on there that sounds good,
Mm-hmm.
but may not be provable or have any data behind it to say, hey, this is why I said this.
Right.
Because
Right.
I have had parents say, okay, why did you say my student can't do this? Or why are you saying that?
Right.
Show me why you said this. And so that gets to be a little bit of a sticky situation sometimes. And the other thing is for compliance is also that I think sometimes teachers throw too much stuff out there, and they put this, and this, and this. They need help here, and sometimes I think too much is not good. I think not enough data isn't good. So you gotta find that balance for compliance issues of what your data says,
Right.
which then leads you into your goals. And I'm sure there's a whole other unit on just on writing legally compliant goals that I'm not going to go into.
Yeah.
But for legal compliance, you need to make sure that there's a goal assigned to a need.
Okay.
If there is a need, there should be a goal, which then also leads into compliance for the services and the accommodations that go with that goal, and making sure that those are appropriate and those are targeted.
Right.
And the other biggest one that, when it comes to services that I see a lot of teachers making the mistake of for legal compliance is not having the appropriate people at the meeting to help speak on these services. And there's a speech service and the speech therapist wasn't able to make it, or there's, counseling services and the counselor hasn't had a chance to talk to the kid yet, so So that's another part of the scheduling process and the legal compliance is that we gotta make sure all the players are at the table.
Right.
And then finally, for compliance is that, the percentage of time, what's our offer of FAPE gonna be?
Mm-hmm.
And ensuring that not only is this an offer of FAPE that is appropriate, it also, at the high school level especially, we are, our focus is building independence and getting them ready for their transition plan, and getting them ready for life after high school. And are we showing that we are doing that? Are we showing that we're trying to get them in the best classes and the most
Right.
appropriate classes? Are we the least restrictive environment is a focus along with the offer of FAPE. So are we ensuring that this is what our goal is, not just to make it the easiest schedule, or not just to make it so a student gets automatic A's and they're happy with all their classes, and
Right.
is this an offer that we're making that is truly going to help the student become more independent and ready for after high school?
Okay, yeah, that's a good one. I like that. That's really good. Okay, next question here is, what were some of your early mistakes as a special education teacher?
Oh my goodness, there are way too many to list. So my first year as a sped teacher was 2002.
Yeah.
And the high school at the time, the administrators didn't really know a lot about IEPs. They
Right.
didn't know a lot about the process. The general ed teachers wanted nothing to do with IEPs.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of commando, do what you got to do to get the dates on and get it off the books. I remember holding IEPs my first couple of years where there was no administrator there.
Oh my gosh,
There was no general ed teacher there.
that's crazy.
There's no counselor there. Sometimes it was just me. A lot of times it was just me and the parent, and meeting and just kind of hammering it out, and just kind of like, oh, well, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? No discussions with the rest of the team.
There was no team. It was just.
It was just, again, the administrators didn't really know anything about it, and they didn't really care anything about it, and it was just like, keep it off my desk, get it done so I don't have to worry about it. And Hazer, I remember a lady coming in, and we started the meeting, and I'm a fresh off the boat teacher, and she took out a recorder and said,
Oh,
you don't
man.
mind if I record this meeting? And presses record, and it's just me and her, and I'm going through this legal document with just a lady, and I don't know any better, and I'm just like, yeah, sure, I don't care, go ahead and record. I mean,
Right.
looking back, I was like, so stupid. Just a lot of stuff like that. But back in the day, I didn't have older teachers who kind of
Yeah.
coached me up and showed me the way. We didn't have internship programs, and it was just kind of like, I went to my department chair, who was a great department chair, and she knew a lot, and she helped me a lot, but she had her own stuff going on, and
Right.
and I was coaching a couple of different sports, and so it was a lot different from some of my earlier mistakes, and I would just fly by the seat of my pants. I'd call parents the day before, hey, can you come in tomorrow? I might have a teacher there. I probably won't have an administrator, but we can meet, and it'll be all right if you excuse them. Just excuse them. Just excuse them. Just excuse them.
Right.
And it's like, it's so bad.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was a different time. Is the process and the support that we had for IEPs.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't even have a place for us to meet. I mean, there was like a closet behind the principal's office. Mr. Walsh's office. You probably remember his office.
Yeah.
There was a little conference room right behind that. It had like brooms and mops in it.
That's crazy.
And then later on, we were allowed to have them in our classroom. So we'd just be me and the parents in my classroom, and the parents would be walking all over campus to find the way out in the portables. So it was different back then, man. I tell you, it was way different.
That's crazy. Yeah, I can't even imagine, like you said, I think one of the biggest things I heard going into special education was from when I was kind of interacting with some of the teachers was like, good luck trying to get a teacher to, get you some replies or any comment on anything, So that was one of my biggest, my biggest concerns coming into this was like, how much support am I going to have? Not from the department, us, but outside of it, how inclusive are these teachers going to be or willing to share? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's good stuff. Okay, let me see how much I have. Gonna have to pause it and then start it again. Oh, we're good. We got one more question we can do. Okay. All right. Next question. What are your parent contact preferences? Is it email, phone, in person, and why?
I like to start with a phone call. Are you talking about like when scheduling a meeting, or getting a hold of a parent?
Yeah, getting a hold of a parent.
Well, I like to, if I'm scheduling a meeting, I like to start with a phone call, just to make it personal and see if they have any concerns. If there's an issue going on with the kid, I prefer emails.
Because you document
because I want the written record. And I want something documented. I want to see their response documented. And so it's legit.
That's a good one. I never thought of that. I always felt like if there's an issue, it's more polite to call someone and explain to them the problem. But like you said, how that person could just say, "Oh, I never spoke to that person. I don't recall." You know?
Right, and so if I'm scheduling, I'll call the mom and just be like, "Hey, can you meet this time? Then I'll follow up with an email with a notice of meeting. And then once we get into things, or we find parents who are a little dicey or a little something like that, I like to. I prefer to start with an email, and I tell them, and it's true. The fastest and easiest way to get a hold of me is through email. We're walking around to their classes.
We're not always in our
pushing into an English classroom. We're not always at our phone. So I do prefer the email. Or if there is a phone conversation and it gets a little dicey, then I'll follow up with an email. And say, hey, thank you for calling me today. Just want to clarify or just want to recap that you want this, this, and this. I'll be reaching out to my program specialist to schedule that or address, or the counselor to address that issue. Just so something's I got a hard copy and some proof of it.
Okay, very good. Let me pause it and then I'll start it up again. It's only letting me download 15 minutes at a time here. We got time for one more. Let's do one more on that one. Okay. Next question. What are some common mistakes you observed today during any part of the IEP process from other education specialists?
I think the biggest. Are you talking about actually the IEP or setting up the IEP?
Setting up the IEP. It could be during the meetings. It could be phone calls. It could be any part of the scheduling process. Just something that you pick up on.
Well, I mean, some of the common mistakes again are waiting too long. Not inviting all the team players.
Yeah.
I mean that even I get guilty of that sometimes. Not looking through the IEP and seeing, oh, this kid has adaptive PE. I never knew, and I gotta find the adaptive PE teacher.
What are you looking first? I always do the services page first.
I look at the services.
Is that your first?
I look at services page, and then I look at the comments, team comments from the year before to see which way. And I look at that to see if if there's a translator there. So I got being the English only guy, then I have to make sure that we got a translator there.
You know what I do now is like when we have the IEP at a glance, when we have to send them out. I actually take that time, or I'm sorry, when we're doing the scheduling, you know how we had that time to look at scheduling and verify with the counselors. I took that time to actually look, because I'm already looking at it at the IEP and seeing if they're an English speaker and if they need a translator, and when their triennial is and when their annual is. You know what I mean? And I, on the spreadsheet that our department chair gave us, I would put on there just as a quick reference.
Yeah, I did the same thing.
Do they have an interpreter? Do they need one? Yes, no. That way I'm not freaking out later on, like you said.
Yeah, I did the same thing. And I have all the dates. I have their credits. So I put a column for how many credits they have right now. So if ones are behind credits, I got one for. I got one for when have I contacted the parents? Is the meeting scheduled? So I can check that off. So I got a bunch of that. I do that as well. I haven't been able to, back when I was a department chair, I was the LEA for most of the meetings. So I was able to sit in and see a lot of those meetings and the IEPs and the education specialists and how they're running it. Now I kind of just, I get IEPs from last year, kind of see how kind of things were done last year, and some of the mistakes I've seen and some of the things that I'd like to clean up or address more is there's way too many cookie cutter IEPs. They're not personalized. You even see some of the same comments on all the present levels.
Copy and paste
and everything. Which I do I have to sometimes as well.
Yeah.
There's some parts that I do copy and paste. Just because, there are certain statements that you have to have in IEPs. There are certain, ways of saying, what their present levels are.
Right.
But I don't see, like on the services page, people will just put 10 minutes general ed.
Right, you don't
And
know
it's
what
like,
that
okay,
is.
so I got this new kid, do they need a paraeducator in the English class? They
Right.
need it in the other classes, and
Talking about like the push and support.
push and supports
Where it
aren't
says
clear, you know.
Yeah.
And I understand there's some teachers' philosophy that they say, oh, we're gonna make it really vague so that we can kind of
Avoid being,
finagle it and explain it to someone later on, and like, oh, well, there was 10 minutes, I was in there for 10 minutes, and I was in here for 10 minutes, and of course they got
right.
these small amounts of minutes that could be anywhere. But when it comes time for me, as a former administrator and someone who made schedules and stuff, I wanted to know, do I need a paraeducator in that class with that kid?
Right.
And does it need to be for the entire period? Is it just for that kid? Is it for this kid? I mean, one-on-one services. I mean, where is the FADE plan? You know, where is this plan?
Right.
Please be specific on some things. You don't have to be like
Yeah.
down to the exact minute of every single day.
Yeah.
But I do see, you know, teachers getting super busy and just kind of putting IEPs into the, and making rivets, you know, and just kind of chopping them out, but then so after a while, they start to, you know, lose their specific.
And it's so funny because I always wondered that. I wondered maybe in the future if there's just better software where it would be more of a checkbox than of like, you know,
Mhm.
you get to define, you know what I mean? Like maybe it could be district to district policy, but like
Yeah.
if you have this so many push and support, there's a checkbox. This is
Yeah.
the 10 minutes as opposed to you typing it in.
Or
And then-
a calculator that tells
Right,
you this is their
and then
schedule. and
basically
this
leaving
is
it
the
up to
minutes.
us to decide how
Yeah.
we want to describe it.
Yeah, I think that's perfectly fine in there. However, you know, you always have to remember the I in IEP is individual, so it has to
Right.
be, you know, you gotta keep the
Right.
individual in mind, and you can't just
Right.
have a generic, you know, thing for every kid, because every
Right.
kid is different and it has to be individualized. So
Yeah.
that's one of the observations I see.
Okay. Let me pause this one and I'll start the other one.